So welcome to our idea sharing and discussion meeting. I'm glad all of you could make it. Today, we're just going to have a brief meeting on sharing and discussing our designs over the winter break. So for those who weren't here last meeting, what we basically went over is our key goals for our club. So for those who aren't informed yet, our club will be focusing on hemiplegia or brain injury patients specifically. And more specifically, we'll be tackling on spasticity of the hand. Now, with that said, let me share my screen quickly, and then we can get this meeting started. So thank you again for making it to this meeting. For those who came early and people who are joining in now, thank you very much for making it to this meeting. And today we're going to go over idea submission and some couple peer-to-peer discussion, just like raw brainstorming time. So with that said, before anything, an important notice. If you guys know anyone with hemiplegia, brain injury, spasticity of the hand, please contact me. It's always great to have a close information source and someone who can actually provide us information on, maybe like a day-to-day basis. So I'm not trying to say, oh, go out look for someone who actually does have hemiplegia. I'm just trying to say hey, if your grandpa has hemiplegia or, if your grandma does, she could probably give us a lot of information about what type of difficulty she faces and what could actually help her. So it's just a great source of information. If you guys do know someone, please let me know. But if you don't have anyone that does have hemiplegia or spasticity of the hand, it's perfectly fine too. It's just a food for thought. So going over today's focus, design, sharing, and discussion. Now, before I start letting you guys discuss about your ideas and present them, I'm going to go over just a couple key facts over here. So for those who don't know anything, for those who are okay, I just joined today's meeting and I have no idea what to do. Well, in the previous meeting, we went over what hemiplegia was and couple symptoms we can try to work with and try to treat with. And one of them we landed on was spasticity of the hand. And you might ask what hemiplegia is. Just so going over it quickly, hemiplegia is muscle stiffness and muscle paralysis. So your hands are hard to move. It's almost like they're frozen or stiff. And we're helping patients move their hand. And our medical device is actually going to focus on machine-based movement or device-based movement, which is basically help making the design or the medical device move the patient's hand for them. Now, this could be stationary, this could be portable, those are the ideas we're actually going to share today. So, with that said, let me stop sharing. Okay, so it looks like someone else joined. That's good. So, with that said, first of all, I'd like to have Junso share his idea. So Junso, if you can, please share your screen and feel free to give it a 1 minute to 2 minute presentation on your idea. Just to make things a little bit more organized, guys, let's put questions and comments after he's done presenting his idea, just so that we can, make the flow of things more organized. So with that said, Junso, please take it away. Make sure to unmute your mics. Some people forget to do that, so just putting it out there.
All right. Okay. Let me share my screen. You guys see? Oh, wait. Can you guys see?
Yeah, we can see it.
Okay. So I made a design that first I'll describe the function of my future design for the spasticity of hand. So first, I'm trying to focus on stretching the fingers, because stretching the fingers will relieve their muscles, which allows them to move easier in the future. And if we constantly doing that, that will eventually provide enough strength and muscles to move in the future. So how am I going to do that? So with rubber bands, attach hooks here that will attach to rubber bands, which will allow them to stretch their fingers like that. And each joints, I'll put hooks and yeah, and for growing the strength, the tension of the rubber bands will allow them to grow strength by resisting against tension to grab like a bowl or like rubber bowl or like any other exercises that will allow them to grab something and put it in different places. So for the components, I'm gonna have like a finger cap that will allow them to place their finger in there and then hold it there. And I'll attach the hooks that I told you before on top of the finger cap, and that hooks will also be on the joints, each joints of their finger, and will allow them to put the rubber band on top of each other joints so they can move freely and also provide tension. Also, I'm trying to put multiple hooks on each side of each finger here, I don't know, this here, so they can have different levels of tension. So when they want to stretch, they can put the rubber bands on like third level or something, so they will allow them more tensions and allow them to stretch. For the rubber bands, I think I told you this before, they're gonna provide like tensions and then allow them to stretch and do all this stuff. I drew like a sketch. I'm not good at drawing, I'm sorry. But here, this thing is finger cap, and then just ignore this blue part, please. And these circular ones, they're the rubber bands I drew. And then I'm planning to put like a guide across here. I'm thinking of putting like a guide, like maybe plastic. I'm not sure about the material, but maybe plastic that will keep the rubber bands from going out and keep their hand from moving left and right. And also the hooks that I told you about are these like little dots here, and there are like 3 levels of the hooks. And also I'm thinking of the Velcro to strap around the hand, like through the palm, so they can be stable. And I just drew side picture of the finger cap. They'll put their finger like that, like this, and then put like a Velcro over their finger, and just put the hook on top of the finger cap. And yeah, just to tell you guys, I was influenced by these two, what's it called, products from, I'm gonna say Servite. So I just can't look at it. If you guys have more ideas, please let me know. Thank you. I can end this.
Okay, so that's great. You did a lot of work for that, more than I asked you, which is perfect. So now we can start actually discussing about the design on June's idea. So just to start it off, let me like put out a question. So will the medical device have any like electronics, or is it solely based on rubber bands?
Just rubber bands I'm thinking of.
I see. And like, would you experiment with like different strengths of rubber bands to like better suit patients?
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. If you do any of you guys have any questions, comments, things you like, things you dislike?
Yeah, I'll just say something. I think the idea with the rubber bands is just a really good idea because it's something cheap that we can, it's actually doable and it'll
Mhm.
probably help a lot with stretching. So I do like that. I think that's something that we should keep for sure.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Mhm.
Anyone else have anything like questions, things you dislike or likes?
I have a quick question.
Mhm.
So, to increase the tension,
Mhm.
on the rubber bands, would there be like more hooks up along the finger, or would the band move back on the actual hand, like the palm? I guess the back side of the palm.
Um, I'm thinking of stretching the rubber bands more. It gives more tension, right?
Yes.
So by putting like hooks, I mean we can put multiple hooks on each joint if you like, and that thing that will work too.
Well,
For now,
I don't
yeah.
know if you need to put them on each joint, because unless you mean like up on every single joint as you go up to the top of the finger, just so the band gets tighter, because that does make sense. If that's
Yeah, that's so. Patients with spasticity of hand, they're not able to move each like their fingers, right?
yeah, but you don't
Mhm.
actually have muscles in your fingers. They're all in this part of your hand that control your fingers. I mean, it just made I just wanted clarification because it would work
Mhm.
to get more tension on the rubber bands. I just wondered where you planned on putting them, like the hooks.
Mm, I'm planning to put the hooks here, here, here,
Now, if the
and
rubber
then
bands came up from the palm and went up the fingers, that would work. Yeah, that would create more
yeah.
tension. So yeah, that works then. That's all I want to know.
Yeah,
Yeah.
can I add a suggestion for that? For like the different
yeah,
types
go
of
ahead.
tension,
Mhm.
what if we use just like different thickness of rubber bands? We don't have to worry about moving a hook back and forth on like the back of our hand. We just
Mhm.
keep the hook stationary and just up the
Mhm.
tension depending on the rubber band size.
I think that'll work too.
Yeah, that's a great point.
Yeah, just a good point. Yeah.
That would also probably stop the bands from breaking or having issues like that if we just increase thickness or material.
Right,
Yeah.
exactly.
I have a
So,
question.
oh yeah,
Oh, sorry.
please go ahead.
So if someone's hand is stiff, can they like move like this? Or is this
No. The whole
no?
point of our medical device is to simulate motion so that like they can like move it so that um, if with repeated motion, hopefully they'll able to move their muscles again.
Then if the rubber band is pulling the fingers backwards, is it supposed to like pull the fingers backward, or is it supposed to pull them forward?
So you have to find enough tension that won't give like stretch out like backward, but give them enough tension that will help them their strength grow, so they can grip maybe just a little bit even. I'm not
Okay.
so you have to experiment with the tensions and rubber bands and all stuff.
So I would imagine that this device is for someone who's already kind of gotten a bit more control over their fingers, just like a
Yeah.
step up.
Mhm.
Okay.
And also I heard that there's like different, what's it called, many different patients. Some patients have their like fingers like this, or some people have like this, or they cannot even move it, and some people like, I don't know, they can't like grip, like clench their feet. I mean, not feet, hands. So depends on the patients. I think that's like the hard part. If they're like this, you have to give enough tension to open their hands. If they're like this, you have to allow them to grip, and like this, you have to give just enough tension so they will have to practice at the grabbing part.
Yeah, that's a great point. I know that a lot of us we're motivated to make like the perfect machine for every single criteria and every single situation, but it's always fine to focus on one specific instance of specificity of the hand. You know, I love you guys are actually like putting ideas in, so you know that's great. It's great to hear that. With that said, let's move on to Michael.
Awesome. Okay, I just want to start off by saying that my PowerPoints don't have as much explanation, but I will be giving a vocal. It's actually just a couple sketches of a design I made. But anyway, I'm going to start screen sharing once my Zoom will go back to full screen. There it goes. Okay, so this is a design I came up with for a possible device that simply allows someone who cannot move their fingers with their actual finger muscles to move it with their arm. So what it is a brace on the hand connected to some cables which attach to a band on the bicep, or I guess on the, yeah, I guess the bicep's the best word. I guess around the bicep and tricep. How it would work is when you extend your arm out, like you make it go straight, the fingers close up as the cables tighten. And then when you bend your arm again, the cables loosen, so your fingers would stick out again, because these people cannot bend their fingers forward. So this could help them if they need to actually move them. I just want to preface that the strings in this first picture are on the wrong side. That's because I drew these really fast. Anyway, yeah, that's how the device would work. I imagine that it would be mostly made out of the same kind of fabrics used for like splints and braces. Well, like most splints and braces, as well as plastic for the cables and the places where they attach. It doesn't do as much in terms of building strength. However, if someone were to keep their arm extended, it would probably help them stretch their fingers out. This is just a way for them to do the motion with their hand without being able to use the muscles in their fingers. Well, for their fingers. Yeah, that basically wraps it up. It's pretty simple, but I think it would be effective and pretty cheap, and also probably pretty light. So those are all good things there. And that's it.
All right. Well, anyone have questions, comments, concerns?
I have a question.
Yeah.
The arm, the drawing that I'm seeing right now is on the like the bottom side of the hand, right? Like
Hmm?
this, not this.
Hold it.
Is the drawing that I'm seeing right now, is it the bottom side of the hand, like the palm side,
Yes,
or
it's the bottom side of the hand. Yeah.
then is this, if this is to like assist gripping and picking up stuff, wouldn't the ropes be in the way? Or is this just for like to make someone grow their hand strength?
Well, I guess it would be able to grow strength as well. Well, imagine if you had a water bottle like this one I have. I have a water bottle. So if you extend your arm out like that, you grip, and the strings would kind of be in the way, but you could still get your hand around it anyway, I guess. It's kind of hard to show with the camera angle I'm at. It's also it was kind of hard for me to draw an angle for this. That's why it kind of looks like the strings would be in the way, but from the side, if you have the strings loose enough, you would be able to grab something. But yeah, that is a concern. I suppose you could work around that by simply stretching the strings out around the hand with like a little guide hook or something. But yeah.
Then I have
Actually,
a idea. Oh, yeah.
yeah, let me just stop you guys. Michael, what if you had those strings as metal strings and you run them through the finger so that they would wear like a glove, so that the string would be inside their fingers? You know what I mean?
That would also work.
Yeah.
Actually, now that I think about it, why would the strings don't need to get in the way at all. It just depends how you run them up the hand. It wouldn't need to be a full-on glove, but yeah, it could be a full-on glove if we wanted it.
Yeah.
Can I
does
add a comment for it?
Yeah.
Yeah, so about the strings being on the outside and making it kind of hard to grab, I could see how that could be an issue. I don't really see what you mean by like running it through the fingers, but I mean, rather than using it as, I guess, something to assist with picking up stuff, maybe we could use this device as just something that can be used to simulate motion, just
It
for
does do
patients
that
to kind
anyway,
of get
so
used
yeah.
to moving their fingers.
See, let me just put one thing. It looks like a lot of you guys are focused on like actual like how should I say this? We're not rather building an exoskeleton for people to wear and use, but rather something they could like use to recover their motion. So like something that could be put on a hospital, and then patients can simulate motion through machine assisted movement. So yeah, I'm just putting it out there. But then both ideas are fine. Both ways of practical use or recovery use. That's why I was leaning towards a little bit towards rehabilitation devices, because they could be just simulate motion, and think you don't have to like worry about, oh, can the patient grab things or can the patient operate it outside of the hospital. But that's just one idea I'm throwing out.
Okay, in that regard, yes, with a slight change to this, basically to make it more based on getting familiar with the motion rather than picking things up, that it would be a change you can make to this. But I actually think, what if this could be like a progression? Like people could start off with a device like this that just moves their fingers, and then they can build up one where they're actually doing it themselves, but building up tension so that they can do it more easily. Almost like a progression from this one to the one that we already saw.
Yeah, that's good too. But then all I'm saying is you don't have to make it too, I don't want to say ambitious, but too perfect, basically. Yeah.
Yeah, I just think that works. Oh, sorry. Do you mind if I say
sorry.
something?
Oh yeah, you can say it.
Yeah, I think just like looking at it as it is now, I think it works great just for the simulation thing, which is something that we should probably focus on, just sort of helping patients get used to moving their fingers again.
Yeah.
I think it does that job fine.
Yeah, that's good. Sorry I cut you off there earlier. Jared, did you have something to say?
No, I think you said what I was going to say about how like lining up like inside of the fingers.
Mm-hmm.
So like I'm just thinking that if the whole hand is just a glove without just putting it on, we will be able to put the like little guides on the inside of the glove and then put the strings through there to make it.
Wait a
like,
second.
Yeah.
What if we're not focusing on that now? Because I had another idea where the strings
that's perfectly fine. But yeah,
went out of the glove and then back inside so that it could contract more easily. But then, no, we don't need to worry about that right now.
Okay.
see, it's great if we build a medical device that could be used on the go, like a rehabilitation device that could also function as an exoskeleton, that could also be used throughout regular life. That's really good. But then, it's fine if we also take the steps, but I also, really like it that you guys are being really ambitious with your ideas. It's great you guys are discussing it. So with that said, if everyone's good, let's move on to Ethan.
One point I want to make
Oh yeah.
about the gloves. It doesn't matter if there's assistance who's helping them wear the gloves, but when they cannot move their hand and when they're by themselves, I think it will be pretty difficult to wear gloves for them. Because when you wear gloves, you have to pull the glove, and then your fingers have to be like strengthened, I guess, like flexed, I guess. But for like patients like this, it would be hard, or like this, it would be hard for them to wear gloves, I think.
Well, we could keep it as a sleeve, but also a device like this would theoretically be used by someone who still needs heavy rehabilitation and would probably have someone helping them.
Right. But one point I just want to, just like food for thought, I'm sorry for stalling Ethan, but I just want to like, a lot of you guys are coming up with gloves and things to wear. But then you could also think of like a stationary device. You guys are putting a lot of emphasis on the tension and how tension can be used to help patients move their fingers one way, but not the other. So maybe if you guys want to like, when you revise your designs or maybe work together with another design and see what you can do, try to think about how, while the rubber bands and the in June's case and Michael String's case can help the fingers move this way inwards, but what if the patient can't move it outwards? So things like that. Just consider. And especially with like things that patients wear, patients with hemiplegia or brain damage could have difficulty wearing that. So, of course, this is nothing to worry about the nitty-gritty details, but, just keep that in mind, like food for thought. So with that said, Ethan, take it away.
Let me share my screen real quick. Okay, you guys see it or no? Can't really. Okay, so basically mine is like another glove type thing. So like there would be the glove that you put your hand into, that would be like the guiding like support systems, like your fingers in the spots. Then basically what I want to try and do like is basically there's cables running to the center like turner. And I don't know if you guys have ever been snowboarding or done any of that. Like their snowboard shoes, how their lacing works is you pull it out, then you twist it and it tightens it, and you can lock it so it can stay tight, or you can take it out and loosen it depending on what you want. So basically you can do that where you can tighten it to stretch the fingers this way. And then if you don't want them, and then you can tighten it there so the fingers stay there so the muscles can like try and stay activated. And then if you don't want to do that anymore, you can loosen them and have your fingers go back to like the normal way they go. So, and then these little things are pretty much like little guiding ports for the cables to go through. And then these would go on the flat parts of your fingers, not the actual knuckle. So then your fingers can bend and move like freely. And then, yeah, so like, let me change. So basically it's kind of like this, but then you can tighten it and do whatever you want without like all these, like basically this tension will be on the back of your hand. And then this is what I meant, like the snowboard type thing, like change it up. But this thing, you turn it to tighten these laces and it pulls the cables in. And then you can push it down to lock it, and depending on what you want to do. And then this is basically just to sum it up like what I was saying. So like pretty much you can make it where it's in a glove and then the little turner is the only thing that sticks out. So like if you want more I don't know, that's more of like a practicality, like looking on how you want to make it look for like the wearer, if they're looking more for like they don't want the strings and everything that go out in their daily life. And then yeah. And then that's basically it for what I have.
Okay, that's great. Anyone else have any questions, concerns, likes, dislikes? So a little bit similar to June's ideas.
Yeah.
I like it how you guys have similar ideas and, kind of like cooperate together and see if we can work towards a solution. With that said, anyone else have any questions, comments?
Just a quick question.
Yeah, go ahead.
So is this device sort of meant to be used as like, I guess, when you're resting your muscles? Because it's not really something that you're actively using to stretch, right? It's just sort of keeping it in a position.
Well, it depends on what you want to do, because like with the tightener, so like if your fingers are mainly like here, you can tighten it and then it stretches the fingers, and then like you can loosen it again. Like
Oh,
depends
so
on,
you can continuously tighten and
so
loosen.
you can continuously tighten it to like stretch the muscles and like make them work, and then like a little bit just to get the motion of the muscles going.
Oh, I see.
Like
Okay, that's interesting. I kind of like that.
Yeah, and then it just depends, like if you don't want to tighten it, you can just loosen it again, and then you have the capability like to still move your fingers a little bit if you can.
Any more questions, concerns?
What material for the cable are you thinking about?
It depends, like you can use a little like I don't really know yet, like you can run metal, but that's not like very, depends on how you want to do it, or you can run like little plastic. It just honestly depends, like I don't really know yet. It just see what is comfortable, like if it because if it rubs on the, you don't want it to rub on the hand or hurt. So you can run a little bit more like meshy or like safe material that won't cut anything or scratch it.
All right, thank you.
Yeah, that's great. Anyone else have any questions? Maybe things to note? Nope. Okay. Okay, so with that said, did anyone else prepare a presentation? I know Jeho did, but did anyone else prepare one? Masaharu, did you end up doing one? Okay, then let's go with Jeho. Alrighty, take it away.
Okay, so it's another exoskeleton design that you'll probably put on as gloves, but I'm thinking of having it instead of strings or using rubber bands. I'm thinking of using some kind of motors to control and assist your finger movement. There are videos on YouTube on where there are mechanical arms in factories working, and they have this circular motor hinges that can only move up to about 90 to 180 degrees. And if we could get them and attach to the joints, every joints we have here, and then connect to controller, possibly on here, and attach onto a glove, I think it would be useful for those who have like no control over their muscle in their hand. And it is going to be a glove, like on the inside it's going to be soft glove, and then on the outside it's going to be like plastic, like the image that I have here. It's going to like those basically supporting up the motors to make sure it works. Yeah.
Okay, that's a good idea. Does anyone else have any comments or concerns or questions? Likes, dislikes?
Also, is it okay if I add one more thing?
Oh yeah, of course. Go ahead.
So like a few minutes ago, I heard about the problems regarding like where putting the glove on and off.
Mm-hmm.
And for that, I actually want to take an idea from Ethan, then put those types of wheels or those things on the wrist. That whenever the user puts it in, you can just kind of shrink it and make sure it fits. And whenever you're not using it, it's always loose, so you can just put it in whenever you need to.
Okay. Anyone else have any questions, comments? Okay, so here, how about this? I have a question. So, motors,
Yeah.
are you planning to put them on every joint or every finger?
Well, since most actions that we do, like grabbing pencil or grabbing water bottle,
Mm-hmm.
only could require this one, not this one. Well, some people might, but if it's not for only, if it's just for grabbing stuff, I feel like this one and this one is the only thing that we might need the joints for.
Mm-hmm.
So it's either these two or this one to make it so you can just grab it.
Okay.
Or we could attach an additional string on the motor so it reels it in on here, and so you can just go like that.
Okay.
I have a slight concern if
Yeah.
you don't mind hearing. Okay. So with the motors, I'm
Mhm.
just worried that it might be kind of bulky, and it sounds from the
Yeah.
way you're describing it, you want it to be kind of like a portable thing to use in everyday life with like pencils, water, whatever. I just feel like
Yeah.
it might be kind of bulky for someone who already has, I guess, struggle moving their muscles to use with all the motors
Yeah.
and everything. I feel like it might work better as a stationary device, just for like also stimulating the movement like Michael's design.
Since you would have to put on batteries and like chargers and stuff, yeah, it will be kind of bulky, but that will be a problem that needs to be fixed more.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. So with that said, did anyone else prepare a presentation? Or ideas, comments, concerns? Okay. So it's great that, okay, so let's move on. It's great that you guys shared some ideas. I saw a bunch of great designs, you know, a lot of discussions, a lot of possible improvements, and it's great to hear that. So, but then one concern I'm seeing is our direction, because, well, how should I word this? Yeah, you guys' design direction towards exoskeleton based on tension movement. Possible concerns could be tension movement is such a, how should I say this? Volatile movement, as in it can't be controlled as well as, for example, machine assisted movement. So what I'm trying to say is tension can help a patient relieve like their hand. If there's folded like this, it can help them relieve it outwards. But at the same time, you have to worry about, well, does a patient have any control? You know, things like Ethan's idea had about, oh, so that the patient can use a ski boot dials to like actually work them out, and that's one good solution. But I just want you to keep that in mind. A lot of you guys had a bunch of similar ideas or ideas based off from, for example, the June's and Ethan's ideas on like putting something on the hand, or Michael's idea on something putting like a brace. So let me show you my ideas and maybe just give you guys a little different direction to consider things. So this, I don't know if you guys can see the picture. You guys can see it? Give me a thumbs up. Okay, so this is what I was having in mind. So obviously it's a little bit different than, you know, the exoskeleton and braces you've seen, but I just want you guys to pay attention and just see what type of device I was thinking of. So the patient would insert their hand or their entire arm here, and then they would put their hands and grasp onto both point A and B. That would kind of be like what they're holding on. And then you might ask what this large flap is. Well, A and B will together rotate so that the patient's wrist can be moved. You see what I'm saying? If they're clutching on both A and B, if both of them move along this flap and pivot on this specific point, they can move their wrist, right? So that's one part. You know, I didn't usually want to like emphasize my design over other people's. I really don't like doing that. But then I just want to give it out to you guys just so that you can consider things like, for example, wrist movement. I know a lot of you guys focused on specificity of the fingers, but then wrist can also be one of the factors you guys could think about. You know, and you might be saying, okay, so how do the patient actually stretch their fingers? Well, A here would be stationary. If the patient would be gripping both A and B, you know, of course this is simplified, they wouldn't be actual sticks, but then, you know, I'm just simplifying in part of the sketch. But A would be stationary, but then B would actually move forwards, causing the patient's hand to unfold. So for example, if I'm grabbing onto something, there's one point over here and one point over here. The extension of this point can help someone move their fingers. You see what I mean? So that's one design I had in mind. And just to give you like a top, you know, this just to give you show you how I was thinking about specificity of the wrist too. You know, because specificity of the hand, it could also involve the wrist, it could involve fingers, it can involve a lot of things. And with this specific design, I wanted to make sure that all movement is machine-based movement. So it's not something like I rely on tensions of the spring or tensions of a rubber band, because those things could always actually hurt the patient too. Because if the patient wants to slowly open their hand out because you're at that stage of recovery, but then a spring does it instantly, that could also cause problems. So, that's one things you guys might consider on improving your designs. One also thing about tension is that it's very uncontrolled, especially with the strings, because, the human hand is so intricate. It could make so much motions. People can try to replicate it through machine, but just the amount of motion your fingers have, it's not just open and fold. There's also all types of variables. Trying to account that with a single string could be a little overestimating just how much of a motion we could have on a patient with the device. So we could, potentially focus on one movement first. Because if you designed your medical device to actually fold this way simply, well, what if the tension forces this index finger to actually go to the direction of my thumb? That's one thing that could be caused by tension. Because here's the thing, you might want your gloves or medical string to actually pull your finger up. But because tension is so uncontrollable, putting that entire tension force on a single string could cause your fingers to actually go up like this or up like that. So there's a lot of unexpected variables with spring tension, which is why I decided to do it with this design. You guys don't have to scrap your ideas. You guys don't have to just do this one. I'm just trying to show you a different perspective on how to solve this problem, just so that you guys can come up with new perspectives. So especially with this device I was thinking about, it would be very simple motion, just opening your hand and closing it. That's all it. And then B over here, we can think of a special mold where people can put their hands in, maybe something they can grasp their fingers, things like that. But this is just one other perspective I wanted to show you guys. I'm not trying to say, oh, you guys have to go with this design or take off from it. I'm just trying to give you guys multiple pictures so that you can basically when you guys improve on your designs, you guys will have more options. So do you guys have any questions with this specific design?
Yeah, just a quick question.
Yeah.
I like everything about it so far. It looks really good, especially with the whole wrist thing. My only concern about it is possibly the B mold, I guess. Just getting the fingers to, I guess, bend properly. Because my only concern is possibly hurting the patient with the machine forced movement if the mold is kind of off.
See,
If you see what I'm saying.
that's a great point, Jake. I wanted to bring this up also. Okay, I don't want to give you guys overload you guys on information, but I'll try to explain things as we go. That's why this specific device would be focused on patient control. So this isn't actually based on a motor, or there's no actual different piece of hardware that's controlling this. There's going to be a simple knob at the end over here that the patient uses to slowly open their fingers. So
I see.
Okay, and the whole thing with the beat. See, I'm sorry guys, I couldn't prepare a 3D model. It's a little bit hard to understand, and apologize in advance for not having a better model. But just trying to make it a little bit more simpler. So let me grab a pen. So let's say this point was B, and my fingers were folded, and I'm trying to open it. We could have a mold for B, but it could also be something just like a piece of metal, like this pen, that just simply extends it, like that. And then it could help retract it if the patient, uses the wheel to move it backwards. We could also have a third pole. We could also have B designed in a special way to fit fingers. There's a bunch of design concepts, solutions, problems. But yeah, I just wanted to give you guys a different perspective because I saw quite a lot of similar ideas. So, hope you guys can see this and just think about hey, what about wrist, and what about machine-based movement, things like that.
Okay, thank you.
Does anyone else have any questions, concerns?
One question.
Yeah.
So A and B, the poles are meant to extend the hands, right?
Yeah.
What if they cannot close their hands?
Yeah, that's why I was talking about B. B wouldn't be just a pole, but here, let me try to show you. So it could be 2 poles. That's why I was talking about the mold and like different possibilities. It could be 2 molds. It could be 1 mold. But for example, let's say it was 2 poles. You could grasp the fingers. Here, let me try to make this show on camera. You could make it grasp the fingers like this and then also help it move like that.
Oh.
So look, this is just another idea. So please don't try to think it's solid or this is what we have to do. But this is just one like solution I came up with my head in like a second. But let's say this was B. Let's say this was B and this was a 3rd pole called C that just moves with B. B could be just moving downwards, but then C could correct the fingers. You see how B is just moving in one direction, but then if C moves with B, it can help clench the fingers. See, things like that. Yeah, I really like you guys are asking questions and doing design concepts. Today, we're not trying to finalize any designs. We're just trying to like, explore some concepts, basically.
Right.
So, that's an excellent point. And then, if once we have this rough concept, we can maybe divide roles and be like, hey, Jun and Jake and Jaeho, you can think of what we can do to actually open their fingers and close it. Hey, Michael and Ethan, oh, why don't you focus on the wrist part? Hey, how about Donnie and Robert and Lynn and Seamus? Why don't you figure out on how we could actually make this patient-based so that the patient can control this? Things like that. So, it's great to hear design inputs, great to hear concerns. So, that's great. Anyone else have any concerns, ideas? If you guys want to switch back to the old picture. Everyone good? Okay, so let me stop sharing my screen. Okay. So thank you for everyone who prepared an idea and design before this. It's really great that you guys are sharing. Everyone who asked questions and participated, it's great to see that you guys are actually trying to like get inside the nitty gritty and figure out what to do, what's best for the patient, what's best for the situation. It's great to hear all that. With that said, the meeting is over. But just a quick announcement beforehand. Again, if you guys know a hemiplegia patient, and I'm just saying if you guys know. If you guys do know a hemiplegia patient, patient with brain injury, patient with spasticity of the hand, please let me know. We're not going to like put medical devices right in front of them and ask them to test it. No, we're just trying to get some information like, hey, what's the most difficulty you have? Or what exactly, or what type of movement is most restricted by spasticity of the hand? Just things like that, a close information source. And one other thing, I'm planning to hold another meeting once school starts where we can actually compile these ideas. Let's see. How many people prepared ideas? Jaeho, Ethan, Michael, and Junso. So those 4 people. Now, for people who didn't present today, you're 100% free to make your own ideas. It's 100% good. Don't feel like you have to go with the 4 designs. I just asked a couple of students here and there to ask them if they could come up with a presentation just so that we can have a discussion. So, don't feel like it's all solidified. We're still, going step by step. If you have a design that you want to absolutely have, try to come up with until our next meeting, which will be around a week or 2 weeks from now. But for 4 people who did have their own design ideas, please try to fix it, revise it, work with some of our club members and see what they think of it, Try to come up with, and it's fine if you want to scrap your ideas and start a new one. I'm not going to force you to go with your own idea from the start. It's fine if you start a new design. I want you guys to actually get in the nitty gritty now, because now that we've shared our ideas and then discussed some pros and cons of some designs, we could actually start getting on the nitty gritty details and then come up with one design to work with. Is that good with everyone? Show me fingers. Okay. And regards to my design, I'm sure all of you guys know how to contact me either through Discord or email. Just ask me and I'll give you blueprints. They're more like simple sketches, but yeah, if you guys want to just look at it for reference or go with it, improve on it, just let me know. Is that good with everyone? Good? Everyone's having a good new year? Alrighty, well, that's the end of the meeting. Thank you so much for attending. Thank you so much for preparing. Thank you so much for participating. It's great to have you guys. I'm really excited to actually roll this club to actually into motion with second semester. So please be excited for that. But with that said, you guys are free to go. Thank you so much, guys.
All right, thank you, Ben.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you.
Happy New Year.
Jacob.